I think this video is gonna get me murdered. Hi, welcome to Katie Can't Read. I'm Katie, I Can't Read. If you're watching this and you're like, this is the same sweater and earrings and hair and makeup that she's worn for the last 3 videos, you're right. I'm filming all in one day. Hi. Today we are going to do everyone's most favorite video of all time, which is what are the worst books I read in 2021. I'm not a negative person. I'm a pretty positive person. I give too many 5 stars. If I enjoy a book, it's a 5-star. That's why I have stopped rating for the year of 2022. There will be no ratings in 2022. There will just be me feeling things without star ratings. And I hope that frees me. But this is my least favorite books of 2021. Most of these were DNFs because usually if I don't like a book, I just put it down. I just give up. I'm not strong enough. I don't have enough time in my life to waste on books I don't enjoy. So a lot of the times if I'm reading something and I don't like it, then I just go, this is it for now. This is it forever. And I put it down and I never look again. Sometimes though, I plow through and I finish a book and I hate it. Most of the times though, that's for a video. There's a video still in my iMovie that I filmed the first part of a vlog for. Couldn't get myself to read the second 2 books in the series. Will I continue it? Who knows? I own the second 2 books. There's nothing stopping me other than my own well-being. That book is on this list. Anyway. Today we're going to talk about the books that either didn't sit well with me at the moment, I have since looked back on and been like, I didn't like that. Or I just DNF'd them. And that's today's video. Yeah, let's get started. So this book will be ordered from most mediocre to the worst book I read. So like maybe the first couple entries, like they're not the worst book I read. I might even still recommend them if someone is interested in that kind of book. They just weren't for me. But as we start moving over, just know that the visceral hatred I get gets a little stronger. So one of the more mediocre books on this list is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I liked this book at the time when I read it. I did also read it in one day. But as I have gradually gotten away from it, this book and I have not gelled. This book just makes me viscerally angry the farther I get from it. I just took it to Goodwill, I think. I took a lot of books to Goodwill when I was at my parents' house for Christmas, and I think I took this one. I got the sequels on my Kindle, and I was like, I'm gonna read it. Never did. That's how little I cared. I didn't like any of these characters. I thought that Hawk, or whatever his name was one of the most insufferable love interests. I did not find him attractive at all. I don't find a lot of people attractive, but I digress. I didn't think he was a good love interest, and I thought he was very toxic, and I thought that Poppy deserved better, but I also thought Poppy was bland as heck and needed to not be the protagonist of this book. I didn't like the world building. There was so much info dumping that I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't realize it was a vampire book until 400 pages into the 600-page book, and then I had to text my friend who loves this book, thank you Nicole, and tell her, hey, are there vampires in this? And she'd be like, yeah, and it was a time. Sure, the plot twist made me throw the book across the room. Sure, I read 300 pages of it while sitting in my hot tub because it's the only way I'm able to focus on it. Did I like it? No. Would I recommend it if someone was like, I'm looking for a paranormal romance? Yeah, probably. No, I didn't like it though. It didn't sit well with me. Plus I keep thinking about that snow scene. I'm like, how are your buns not cold? How are you not just so cold? So our next most mediocre book is Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. I also think I just got rid of this one. I read this one because Mare told me she loved it, and then I read it, and then I did not love it. I was very confused the whole book. I liked the vibe, the atmosphere. It was an atmospheric book. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the plot. I didn't understand the characters. I didn't understand any of them. I didn't understand the world. I didn't understand the magic system. I didn't know there was magic happening, and I think there was, and I don't remember it, and I read it in one day, and that was probably a bad decision. I didn't like this book. In February, I reread, like, I really tried to get through all of my TBR books before I went back to school, and this was one of them, and it didn't go well. Yeah, this book was not for me, y'all. I still think it might be for a lot of people. A lot of people I know really, really like this book. The sequel just came out, and I literally looked at it on the Barnes and Noble hardcover sale and thought about it. I didn't do it though. So yeah, it was a book. It was most certainly a book, but it was not a book for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Sorry? Sorry? No, I'm not sorry. Now, we have the beginning of the books that instill a rage in me. And the first one is Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. I went into this book with such high hopes. One of my dear friends, who I love so much, was like, these are my favorite books ever. And she bought them for me. These were a gift. And I read it, and it was so disappointing. I was like, there was such an opportunity for a found family. There was such an opportunity for a lot of things, and all of those opportunities were missed. Every single one of them. I think I've just decided that even though I love pirates, pirate books aren't for me, because I feel like they never get pirates right, you know? They always try to make either too, like, I think that pirates are supposed to be bad people, and so to make a lovable protagonist, it's hard to make a likable pirate for a YA book. And this one really fails at that mark, because none of these pirates are likable, but not in a, oh, they're too bad, in a, oh, they're neither. They're not good people, they're not bad people, and that's frustrating. And also, why was this straight? It's a band of all-female pirates, and they're straight. Also, every single character was underdeveloped. I didn't know any of their names. I didn't know any of their names. I was like, who? And then there's plot twists that I didn't care about. I didn't like this book. I have the second one. I'm not going to read it. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like our main character. I thought she was insufferable, and I didn't get with it. It wasn't for me. In 5th place, we have the very first arc I ever DNF'd, and that is Sunny's Song Will Never Be Famous by Suzanne Park. And I did a vlog where I read a bunch of arcs that I had, and this was in there, and this one, like, I went on a rant. This book was awful. This book had horrible jokes. It was about a social media influencer who gets in trouble and she has to go to social media detox camp, but she's just really annoying, and I don't care about her at all, and I don't want her to be a social media influencer, and I also don't want her to get better from her social media addiction. I literally could care less about this girl, and I'm sitting here and I'm having to watch her figure this out at this camp, and it's the most annoying book I've ever read, and I really hated it. I really hated it. I don't have anything else to say. I literally DNF'd this book at like 60%, and I was like, dear NetGalley, sorry. And I DNF'd it. And that's the whole vibe on it. I don't like it. I don't recommend this to anyone. Some of the other books on this list, I absolutely would be like, yeah, I think that sounds like something you like. I wouldn't put this book on my worst enemy. Sorry. Next, we have another really huge disappointment, and that's Fable by Adrienne Young. And I know that some people just like love this book. Nicole, one of my dear, dear friends, she loves this book. She recommended it to me. And I was so excited because I love pirates. And once again, pirate book just doesn't hit. I don't even remember what about this book I didn't like. I just remember hating it. I DNF'd it. I just remember being like, I am so bored. I am so confused. I'm so confused. I'm so bored, and I don't think any of these characters are likable, and I don't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. And this book wasn't for me, so I put it down, and I literally gave it away. And I'm very, very, over it. I'm very not, didn't like that book. Didn't like it at all. Nope, don't recommend this one. Yeah, I didn't like this book. I can't even remember what about it made me angry. I think I hated the main character. I think I hated that there wasn't a found family. A pirate ship is the perfect place for a found family, and none of the pirate books I've read have had a found family, and that makes me so upset. Yeah, I didn't like it. Just had to delete a bunch of stuff on my phone. But anyway, we're back. And now we are talking about Crave by Tracy Wolffe. And I'm so sorry. to Skylar and Clare, who are two of my very close friends, and we were like, we're gonna buddy read this back in May, and they stuck it out for the most part. I gave up about 25% of the way in. I couldn't do it. I found the whole book insufferable. I found all the characters annoying. If this poor girl talked about altitude sickness one more time, I was going to rip the book in half. I hated the love interest. I thought he was very, very awful. I thought, wow, this book would make Twilight look like a masterpiece. And it was not a good book. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, it's just a good book, it's not for me. Like, it wasn't even a good book. So I hated it. That's why it is, like, one of the worst books I read this year, period. I hated it. I, like, can't stop thinking about how much I hated it. Hated it. Hated it. I hated the premise, I hated the setting, I hated all the characters. I hated all of it. I thought it was awful. And that's why I didn't even finish it. So I didn't even get halfway through it. I, like, couldn't do it. And I didn't even care if it turns up. Some Crave stan is going to be in the audience, in the comments being like, it was so good if you had just made it to page 572. And I would be like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. No. 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 This book actually makes me a little bit sad that it's on this list, and that's Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I wanted so desperately to love this book. It was everything I love. I love a space opera. I love romance. I love an arranged marriage trope. But it was bad. It was bad. And my main issue with this, I talked about it extensively in a wrap-up, and it's been a little while since I read this, so I'll just put it in the cards, you know, where I really go into it. But the thing I didn't like about it was it's a space opera, right? It's a space opera. And in a space opera, you need to create an entire, it's like, you know, when you create a fantasy world, you have to make a whole galaxy of fantasy worlds. And this book did not do that. There was, like, bears. Like earth bears. Why are there earth bears in your space opera? And it's not even, like, set on a, like, post-apocalyptic 2,000 years from now Earth. Like, no. It's just bears. And I love bears. Everyone who knows me knows I love bears. But I don't want bears in my space opera on my fictional alien planet. I want something that you make up and have to describe to me, and then I have to struggle to picture it, you know? Also, I thought that the romance between the two main characters was very stiff. Didn't work for me. There was no chemistry. Didn't enjoy it. But I did think there was good representation in it of, like, someone who has survived abuse. I thought that was very well done, but in general I didn't like it. I did like the world building with, like, there was a really good, like, pronoun detail, but I don't remember what it was. But I remember there being something really cool about, like, pronouns, and I was like, heck yeah. But I didn't like this, and I felt really bad because everyone's like, it's so good, it's so cozy, it's gonna make you want to, like, no. This book made me angry and miserable. It was one of the hardest books I read all year. I was struggling to get through it. But I had so much hope in this that I finished it, and I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have finished it. And the worst book I read this year is the one that I gave up on the video for. I think this is gonna get me attacked and murdered online. This is gonna get me canceled. Hashtag Kitty Can't Read is over party. The worst book I read in 2021 was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, and I just heard everyone gasp. I was very determined last year to read every Shadowhunters book. I read the first half of the Mortal Instruments, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take people's advice, and I'm gonna go read the Infernal Devices. I liked the Mortal Instruments. I thought they were fun. I read Clockwork Angel, and I felt like I was pulling teeth. It turned me off to the entire rest of the Shadowhunters series. I might still go back and finish the Mortal Instruments because I want closure. I did not care. I thought it was the worst book I've ever read. I hated it. I thought every character was awful. I thought Will Herondale was an awful character. I thought he was annoying. I thought Tessa was so bland and boring. She made every YA protagonist from the same couple years look like the most interesting girl alive. And I hated all of it. There was nothing about those books that I liked. That one book I liked. It literally, I still have the first half of the vlog in my iMovie on my laptop, and I just not get myself to sit down and read the second two. I bought the second two. They're right here behind me. I'm touching them. I'm not gonna read them. The idea of reading them makes me so physically ill. I will not be finishing this series. And everyone's like, Clockwork Princess is so good. And they're like sobbing. I don't even think I care enough. I've always been curious, what about Clockwork Princess is such a tearjerker, making people want to throw up because they're crying so hard? I've always been curious about that. You lost me, because that first book was so bad. It's so bad I want to give it a 0, but I can't do that, so I'm giving it a 1. I hated Clockwork Angel. I said it on a live stream with Bear just a couple weeks ago, and she literally looked like she was gonna murder me and cry. And I'm so sorry to everyone who's a huge Shadowhunter fan and loved the book since forever, but I just can't. That book was awful. It was boring. It was slow. The only thing I cared about was the fact that Magnus Bane shows up for like 5 minutes, and I hated it. 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 It was not nearly as creative and fun as the Mortal Instruments, and I'm not even sorry to be having gone on this rant. That is all. Sorry about all that negativity. Feel free to just absolutely eviscerate me on all social media for that take. I deserve it, quite frankly. I really, truly am a horrible, horrible person with no taste in books, and like, yeah. So that was my worst books of the year. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment if you agree or disagree with me. Please tell me if someone else out there hates Clockwork Angel like I do, because I feel kind of bad to be like the only person I've ever met that hates that book, but I just really want to know that someone else out there feels the same way I do and just wants to punch a hole into Will Herondale's stupid face. I'm waiting for that comment. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next chapter. Bye.